I'm 26M, and for the last 2 years, I haven't been my girlfriend's priority. I haven't even cracked the top 5. My 24F girlfriend, Chloe, just chose her friend group over our relationship for the last time. I'm done. I don't even know where to start with this. I've been with Chloe for over 2 years, and I genuinely thought we had something real. We moved into an apartment in Austin together 6 months ago, split everything 50-50, the whole domestic bliss thing. But lately, I've been feeling less like a boyfriend and more like a sixth wheel in a 5-person marriage. Here's the thing. Chloe has this suffocatingly tight-knit friend group: Zoe, Ben, Maya, and Noah. They unironically call themselves the 5-pack, and they do literally everything together. Their group chat pings on her phone at 3 a.m. They have matching tattoos. They coordinate multi-part Halloween costumes. At first, I thought it was sweet that she had such close, loyal friends. Now I'm wondering if I'm even in a relationship at all, or if I'm just some guy who pays half the rent and is allowed to watch. The breaking point, the final one, happened last weekend. Our 2-year anniversary was coming up, and I'd planned this whole evening. I made reservations at that quiet Italian place on the east side where we had our first real date. I even managed to get tickets to see that indie band she's been obsessing over. Nothing crazy expensive, but it was thoughtful. It was ours. I found her in the living room, bathed in the blue light of her phone, scrolling through Instagram stories of the pack's latest weekend adventure. "Hey," I said, sitting down next to her. "So, I've got something special planned for our anniversary next Saturday." She looked up from her phone, and I swear her face just fell, like I'd just told her someone died. "Oh," she said, setting the phone down slowly. "Oh, babe, that's the same night as Maya's birthday pregame. You know I can't miss that." I felt my stomach drop, but I tried to stay reasonable. "A pregame? Can't you just go late? Or could you ask them to reschedule for Friday night or Sunday?" She was already shaking her head before I finished. No, Liam. You don't understand. Maya specifically planned it for Saturday because it's literally the only night everyone can make it. Ben's got that big work conference starting Sunday. And Zoe's been so stressed with her new job that she really needs this. And Noah just broke up with that girl he was seeing, so he needs us right now too. I watched her face as she talked, and she got more animated, like she was warming up to her argument. "We all really need this night, Liam. The pack hasn't been together properly in weeks." "But it's our anniversary," I said, and I hated how small and weak my voice sounded. "This only happens once a year. You can see your friends literally any other time." That's when her whole demeanor changed. She sat back, crossed her arms, and gave me this look. This cold, appraising look like I was being completely irrational. "Liam, love is patient," she said. "Friendship isn't. They were my life before you, and they'll be my life after you." I just stared at her. The words hit me like a physical blow. They'll be here after. Not if something happens to us. Not, God forbid we ever break up, but a casual, matter-of-fact after. Like our breakup was already penciled into her calendar somewhere between next month's group vacation and Zoe's birthday party. After everything we'd built, I'm still just some temporary thing that can be rescheduled around brunch plans. This isn't the first time. My graduation from my master's program? She went to Ben's housewarming party instead. My brother's wedding last month? She was too exhausted from a 3-day music festival with the pack to come as my +1. Even when my mom was in the hospital for her knee replacement surgery, Chloe couldn't visit because it conflicted with their weekly Game of Thrones rewatch night. But she expects me to drop everything when she needs something. Last month, she called me at 2 a.m., wasted, to pick her up from some dive bar across town because Noah was too drunk to drive responsibly. When I got there, she barely acknowledged me, just kept taking laughing selfies with everyone while I stood there like a parental-funded Uber. She spent the whole ride home talking about some drama between Zoe and a guy from the bar, not even a "thank you for getting me." The worst part is how she talks about our relationship to them. I overheard her on the phone with Maya last week, saying how I'm going through a jealous phase and need to learn to share her time better, like I'm some insecure teenager instead of her partner who just wants to feel like a priority. I've tried talking to her about balance. I've tried explaining that a relationship is like a plant. It needs nurturing too. She always promises to do better, then immediately makes 3 new plans that pointedly exclude me. When I point out the pattern, she accuses me of trying to isolate her from her friends. There's no winning. I'm writing this from a coffee shop because I couldn't stand being in our apartment anymore. I've been looking at places online all morning. I found a decent 1-bedroom in Bolden Creek that I can afford on my own. The lease application is sitting in my email drafts. I love her, but I can't keep coming in sixth place in my own relationship. My friends think I should give her an ultimatum, but honestly, I'm just so tired of begging someone to want to spend time with me. Update 1. Well, my original post blew up. Thanks for all the support and the flood of messages. It's eye-opening. Wish I could say this had a happy ending where we worked things out, but you'll see. I submitted that rental application the same day. I got approved within 48 hours, which felt like a sign from the universe. I spent the next week quietly moving my essential stuff whenever Chloe was out with the pack, which conveniently was basically every evening. By the time she noticed something was up, I had already moved 80% of my things. She came home Thursday night around midnight, buzzing from a spontaneous rooftop bar trip that Noah wanted to try. She immediately saw that my gaming setup and my entire desk were gone. I heard her calling my name from the living room, her voice getting higher with each empty room she checked. Liam, what the hell is happening? Where is all your stuff? I was in our bedroom, packing the last of my clothes into a duffel bag, when she found me. She just stood in the doorway for a full minute, scanning the empty hangers, the bare dresser, the boxes by the door. Are you moving out? Her voice cracked on the last word. I handed her the letter I'd written. I tried to keep it simple and honest, that I needed to be with someone who wanted to prioritize our relationship, that I couldn't keep feeling like an afterthought, and that I wished her the best. She read it once quickly, then again, slower, her eyes getting wide. When she looked up at me, it was like she was seeing a stranger. You're seriously leaving me? Because I have friends? Because I won't ditch the people who have been there for me for years? I sat down on the edge of the bed, suddenly exhausted. Chloe, it's not about you having friends. Then what is it about? She snapped, waving the letter. Because this whole thing reads like you want me to choose between you and everyone I care about. I want you to care about me too, I said quietly. I want to feel like I matter to you, like we matter. She stared at me like I'd suggested something insane. Of course you matter, but I can't just abandon my friends every time you want attention. Attention? I felt something twist in my chest. Chloe, I asked you to spend one evening with me, for our 2-year anniversary. One. And I explained why that night was important, more important than just us. She threw her hands up. This is ridiculous, Liam. You're throwing away 2 years because you can't handle me having a social life. You knew who I was when we started dating. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized she genuinely, truly didn't understand. In her mind, I was the problem. I was the one being unreasonable. I thought I knew who you were, I said, standing up and zipping the bag. I thought you were someone who wanted to build something with me. I do want to build something with you, but not if it means cutting off everyone else in my life. I'm not asking you to cut them off, Chloe. I'm just asking you to make space for me too. But she was already shaking her head, and I could see in her eyes that we were just going to keep going in circles. She saw this as me being controlling. I saw it as basic relationship maintenance. There was no middle ground. After another 20 minutes of the same argument on repeat, I finally held up my hands. I'm done, Chloe. I'm done arguing about this. Done arguing or done with us? Both. The finality in my voice seemed to hit her. Her whole posture changed. That's when things got weird. She started following me around the apartment, listing all the things we'd shared, all the memories. But even then, every single memory was about her friends. Remember when we went to that concert and ran into Ben and Zoe? What about that time we cooked dinner for the whole pack? It was like she couldn't even conceptualize an experience that was just about us. I told her I'd be back for my share of the furniture over the weekend, specifically when she was at Maya's pool party. Because, of course, there was a pool party. I left my key on the kitchen counter and walked out. But apparently, leaving wasn't enough. Saturday morning, I'm in my new place, finally feeling like I can breathe, when my phone starts going crazy. Chloe, calling nonstop. Paragraph-long texts about how we need to talk this through like adults. When I didn't answer, she sicked the pack on me. Zoe sent a long text about how Chloe is devastated and I'm breaking up the family. Noah called me immature for ghosting. Ben tried the reasonable approach, suggesting we all meet up to discuss things. Even Maya, who I've maybe had 10 conversations with, felt qualified to tell me I was making a huge mistake. The messages got more aggressive as the day went on. You're going to regret this, and Chloe deserves better anyway. By Sunday evening, they were calling me emotionally abusive, for abandoning her without warning, despite the letter I'd left. Then Monday night happened. I got home from work to find all 5 of them, standing outside my new building. Chloe in front, with the pack arranged behind her like some kind of intervention crew from a bad movie. She started talking as soon as she saw me, loud enough that my new neighbors were looking out their windows. "Liam, we need to settle this right now. You don't get to just disappear and ignore everyone. We're all adults here." I told them there was nothing to settle. I'd made my decision, I'd explained my reasons, and I wasn't changing my mind. That's when Noah stepped forward. "Dude, you're being a selfish piece of shit. Do you know how much you're hurting her? How much you're hurting all of us?" "All of you?" I asked. What exactly did I do to hurt people I barely know? Apparently, by dating Chloe, I had become part of their family system, and by leaving her, I was abandoning all of them. It was the most unhinged, codependent thing I'd ever heard. The whole thing was surreal. Zoe was actually crying. Ben kept trying to mediate, and Maya was recording the whole thing on her phone. For evidence of what, I have no idea, and Chloe just stood there, nodding along, like this was all perfectly normal behavior. I told them they had exactly 30 seconds to leave my property before I called building security. When they didn't move and kept telling me to work this out like an adult, I walked inside and did exactly that. Security came out and asked them to leave, which they did, but not before Chloe shouted that this wasn't over. That was 3 weeks ago. The calls have finally stopped. I've blocked them all. My building management knows to watch for them. I don't regret leaving, but I'm honestly shocked by how insane this got. Who brings their entire friend group to harass their ex? Update 2 back again. Didn't think I'd be posting more, but life is strange. First off, things on my end are great. The new apartment is peaceful. Work is rewarding. I've been reconnecting with my own friends, the ones I'd neglected during the Chloe years. Turns out when you're not on call as the designated driver for someone else's social circle, you have time for your own relationships. But the real story is what's been happening with the infamous pack. My buddy Mark works with Ben, and apparently the group dynamics have been shifting. Remember Ben? He was getting serious with his girlfriend Emily. Well, they got engaged 2 weeks ago. Emily has not been shy about thinking the whole group setup is immature and has been pushing Ben to establish boundaries. According to Mark, Ben's been slowly pulling back from the 24/7 group activities, missing the weekly hangouts, prioritizing his fiancée. Sound familiar? Chloe apparently lost it when Ben said he couldn't do their annual group beach trip because he and Emily had planned a trip to visit her parents. "You're becoming just like Liam," was supposedly her exact words, because God forbid someone prioritize their future wife. But it gets better. Zoe got a massive promotion at work, which requires her to relocate to Portland. She's been trying to coordinate virtual hangouts, but Chloe's been cold. Apparently, she made some comment about how real friends don't abandon the group for a job. Then there's Maya and Noah. I never got the full story, but apparently those two have had an on-again, off-again thing for years. Well, it's on again, and this time they want to actually date instead of just hooking up after group events. Chloe is not handling this well, because it changes the dynamic, and she's worried about what happens if they break up. So, let me get this straight. When I complained about feeling deprioritized, I was controlling and selfish. But now that she's feeling deprioritized by her friends, it's a 5-alarm fire and everyone is abandoning her. The best part, which I'm getting through Mark's girlfriend, who's friends with Emily, is that Chloe has been telling people that everyone is pulling a Liam on her, as if pulling a Liam means, what? Growing up? Building adult relationships? It's an epidemic. Meanwhile, I've been having actual fun. Went to a concert with college friends. No group coordination, no one taking selfies every 5 minutes, and I didn't have to leave early to deal with someone's drama. It was revolutionary. I've also been seeing someone new. Nothing serious yet, but Sarah is refreshing. She has her own close friends, but she also understands that relationships require one-on-one time. We had dinner Friday, just the 2 of us, and she didn't check her phone once. But here's the kicker. 3 days ago, I get a text from Chloe. First direct contact since the apartment confrontation. "Hey, I know things ended badly, but I've been doing a lot of thinking. Maybe we could grab coffee? I feel like we both said things we didn't mean. I just stared at it. Then yesterday, another one. I know I made mistakes. I was young and didn't understand balance. I've been learning and growing. I think we could try again." I showed Mark. He just laughed. Apparently, word got back to Chloe that I'm doing well, seeing someone, and happy. He thinks she's realizing that having a devoted boyfriend wasn't so bad after all. The timing is pretty telling, right? Just as her friend group is naturally evolving, she wants to revisit our relationship. Where was all this learning when I was begging her to understand? I'm not responding. I'm not interested in being her backup plan now that her primary social structure is changing. Final update. This is probably my last post on this. Things wrapped up. The text from Chloe continued for about another week. I finally understand what you meant about balance. The pack isn't the same. I think I was using everyone to avoid real intimacy. I miss talking to you. That last one almost got me. We did used to have great conversations, but I reminded myself that good conversation doesn't equal a good partnership. I stayed silent. Then, last Tuesday, it happened. Sarah and I were having dinner at that exact Italian place I'd tried to book for my anniversary. And I spotted them at a corner table, Chloe, Noah, and Maya. Ben and Zoe were, of course, absent. Chloe saw me before I could suggest we leave. Our eyes met across the room. I saw her debate what to do. Sarah noticed me tense up and asked if I was okay. I gave her the 30-second version. To her credit, Chloe didn't cause a scene. She just gave a small, sad wave. But as Sarah and I were leaving, Chloe approached us near the exit. Liam, hey, I don't want to interrupt. Could I talk to you for just 1 minute? Sarah, being amazing, squeezed my hand and said, I'll wait by the car. Chloe looked different. Tired. I know you haven't been responding, she said, talking fast, like she'd rehearsed it. And I get it. I wanted to say that you were right. About everything. About balance. About priorities. I see Ben with Emily, and I watch how they support each other, and I realize I never did that for you. Not once. I told her I appreciated her saying that, but it didn't change anything. I know, she said, looking down. I'm not asking for another chance. I just needed you to know that I understand now, and I'm sorry. Genuinely sorry for how I treated you, and how I reacted when you left. It was the first time she'd ever apologized without an excuse attached. She looked past me, at Sarah waiting by the car, and gave a small, sad smile. She seems lovely. I hope she appreciates what she has. And that was it. She went back to her table. I went to my car. Sarah asked if I was okay. I realized I actually was. The ironic epilogue? I heard through Mark that the 5-pack is essentially done. Ben is fully in wedding planning mode. Zoe is loving Portland. Noah and Maya are dating, but are focused on themselves, not the group. Chloe's been trying to keep it together, but you can't force people to stay in a dynamic they've outgrown. As for me and Sarah, things are progressing. She met my friends last weekend. It was effortless. No one was competing for attention. She's talking about a weekend trip next month, just the two of us. The fact that this seems normal and exciting, rather than selfish or threatening, tells me everything I need to know. I don't wish Chloe ill. I hope she figures it out. But I'm so glad I had the courage to walk away. Sometimes the best thing you can do is refuse to be treated like an option. Thanks for all the support, Reddit. Time to close this chapter.